Hello, welcome to Let's Talk. I'm Salley Gibney. Our show today is global warming. Are we running out of time? I'd like to welcome Kathryn Blume from Vermont. Hi, Kathryn.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm so glad to be here.
And Bill Laberge from Grassroots Solar from Dorset, Vermont.
Thanks
How
for having
are you?
me.
It's nice to have you both here. This is really a very exciting and timely topic, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. First, could you just share with us, both of you, a little bit about yourselves?
Well, I
Kathryn.
live in Charlotte, and my background is in both theater and environmental activism. And a number of years ago, I had a one-woman show that was the story of the First Lady of the U.S. launching a sex strike to combat climate change.
I remember
And
that.
I took it to the Copenhagen Climate Talks, and I came back very
Wow.
inspired to try to help the U.S. contribute to the global activity, and I thought we need leadership. Vermont's a great place to find it, and how do we
Absolutely.
galvanize everyone together? And that's how Vermontovate was born, but we can talk about that in a little
Oh,
bit.
that's great. And so, well, we'll talk about that in a little bit. Bill, share about yourself.
Well, I was a furniture maker for 26 years.
And you're a fabulous furniture
while I was
maker.
doing that, we started in 2008, Transition Town Manchester. And the Transition Initiative is really a community response to climate change. The idea being that, you know, if you replace a couple of light bulbs, that may be too little. If you wait for the White House, maybe it's too late. But if we can activate the community, then that might just be the right scale. So we
Wow.
found that to be a really good model. So we've been, since then, you know, just getting the community off of fossil fuels, you know, looking at transportation, energy, food, and
Wow.
how can we as a community respond to this, because that's really what we're going to need.
You know, the nice thing about the transition initiatives, too, is that they have a lot to do with the idea of building resilience within the community. Because we know we've baked in climate change. Things are going to transform on this planet. We're seeing it already. Here we are at the beginning of February, and it's basically
I know.
like
What
late
is it,
March.
55 degrees?
Yeah. So there are going to be impacts. There are going to be
Mm-hmm.
environmental impacts, social, economic. We may have influx of climate refugees. All of those impacts are disruptive to our communities, and the way that we respond and heal from those things is with a great degree of resilience and building strong social networks and building in localized programs which help us respond in a very immediate way.
Yeah.
And I think that's the beauty of transition towns is that.
And so, what did you do? Now, how did you get involved in all of this?
Well, we just we had an environmental activist group and trying to figure out where, you know, how we wanted to head, and then we saw this model, and it's really just engaging the entire community to develop resilience. And Vermont already has a pretty resilient community anyway. You see that in responses to Sandy and Irene. So this is, you know, now how do we make our community? How do we get local select boards to consider that, you know, and other entities? So we're feeding the community better. We're providing energy, you know. So it's just how do we engage the entire community? And we just thought that was a great. It's really fun. We love, you know, planting fruit trees around town.
And the river walk.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So we
doing
came
all
up
these
with the idea of the
wonderful
Riverwalk, and now I'm the head of that group, and so we're going to have this, you know, really we're turning the town into a pedestrian-friendly place,
Which is
which
wonderful.
is what we want to do in response to climate
Now,
change.
talk about a little bit about the solar energy.
Yeah, so then my wife and I, after our daughters got done college, we said, all right,
Can't
now
believe he has daughters that have finished college.
we said, all right, now we moved to Dorset so that our daughters would go to the local high school here at BBA. And so then now we said, well, where do we want to live? And as it turns out, we want to live exactly where we are. But now we want to live there because it's for us. And so at that point we said, all right, let's put up the solar panels. And so I had the company that put them up. You know, I said, listen, we need to tell everybody about this. Everyone should be doing this. So we invited friends and neighbors over, and they said, Bill, you know, you're better at selling this than we are. You should come work for us. And I said, I would do that tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I did. I stopped making furniture and worked with them for a couple of years, and then started my own company last year.
That's very exciting. So tell it, what does solar energy mean to you?
Well, what it means to me is I'm helping people get off of fossil fuels. You know, my mission in doing it is to save the planet. That doesn't have to be what my customer's mission is. Some people come at it from that, but they could just want to get rid of their electric bill, and that's fine.
Yeah.
You know, the reason I'm doing it is so that we can all get off of fossil fuels. So I feel like, I mean, I loved making furniture, still do. But what I do now is I'm doing what I'm called to do, and so it's really
It's a mission.
exciting.
It's a mission,
It really is
you
my
know,
mission in life, and so to be able to help people while I'm doing it is really great.
Yeah.
And
really neat.
Bill is really at the leading edge of something significant happening in terms of our energy transition, because we do have to get off fossil fuels. And we have the sun, we have the wind, we have geothermal, we have all of these systems in place already, the technology to do that. The tricky part is building the sort of social acceptance of these new technologies. And we're seeing a lot of local pushback on solar and wind installations in particular, because I think it's new and because it changes what we look at.
Well, it changes the environment to a certain
Yeah.
extent, so you have to deal with that. I'm
But
sure people
we
are
used to
thinking
have
about that.
pushback against power lines and grain silos and clapboard houses. Anytime there's something new, it takes a while for everyone to adjust to understand the reasoning behind it. And one of the things that solar installations, wind turbines, things like that are asking us to do is look at the sources of our energy generation, as opposed to knowing that oil comes from somewhere over there, but we don't have to deal with it. We don't live, say, in the Niger River Delta in Nigeria, where it's a politically explosive and environmentally polluted place. We just get to reap the benefits of it. But that, with climate change, with our transforming world, we can't do that anymore. So we have to figure out, how do we take responsibility on a local level for our food production, which is why planting nut trees and fruit trees is so great. For our energy production, and it means we have to look at those sources of energy. And it takes time to adjust to that. And so kudos to you, Bill, for being on the leading edge of all of that, because I realize there's some, it takes time for social acceptance, just like it took time for us to accept gay marriage. These things, it just takes a while for us.
It takes a while to do that. And so what are you doing? How are you going about doing this? I know first, what are you doing?
Well, I was just going to jump in first with what she's saying. We are blessed that we live in Vermont, in that our local utility, Green Mountain Power, is also forward thinking and understanding that we're having to operate in a new paradigm. And so how do they fit into this new paradigm? You're seeing pushback in other states. Arizona, which is the land of sun, they want to charge people to put up solar panels. They want to, so it's, we have a great environment. Where our farm to plate initiatives are huge in Vermont. So you're starting to see, really a great swelling in that, and also with energy. I mean, I do think it's a great time to be doing this. It's really fun because the technology is changing every single day.
And we have a statewide comprehensive energy plan that's asking us collectively to get to 90% renewables across all sectors by 2050. And that forces us to look at energy and transportation and food and basically all the systems of our lives, town planning, where people live. It has to change our thinking about everything. And that's a lot for people to absorb.
It's an awful lot for people to absorb.
It is.
And do you get pushback on it? I mean, you really...
Oh, absolutely. We're asking people to redefine their systems. And it's so easy just to do what we're doing. I have a great friend who's a naturalist, and he doesn't want to see solar panels. And I'm like, but you like the Grand Canyon the way it is. There are, the whole NIMBY, there's actually a great website for renewable energy, wind and solar. It's called IMBY. In my backyard. And so you can actually go on and look at what you can do on your property.
Oh, isn't that neat?
We have to all kind of rethink our old paradigm, and it's actually the whole point about the transition movement is that we're not talking about scarcity. We can have abundance. It's just a different abundance, and so we have to rethink what of the food that with the driving that we're doing. What is it? Let's reevaluate every aspect of your life and where it fits into the use of fossil fuels, because it's really not that hard to get off of it.
So how serious is global warming?
It's really serious. And I know you want us to give people a sense of hope and possibility, and that exists. But the reality is that we have raised the average global temperature 1 degree Celsius. And atmospheric CO2 in pre-industrial era was about 250 parts per million. And a part per million is about one drop of water, like in a tank of gasoline. Used to be at 250 parts per million. We're up over 400 now. And those are having significant effects.
How long? I mean, that jump has been
about 150 years.
It's been really quick.
It's been really, really quick. And so, yes, people say, well, the climate's changed before. Yes, of course it has. And there have been, 5 major waves of extinction in the 4.5 billion years of the planet. It's just that this is happening really fast. And our natural systems are having a hard time adapting to it when the changes happen that quickly. We're acidifying the oceans. We're melting glaciers and ice caps. We are making it extremely difficult for animals to live within their pre-established natural habitats because things are shifting so much. And then we're seeing, little but significant impacts like the loss of maple and ash trees. Across the West, pine trees are dying because of the pine borer. Here in Vermont, I moved here 20 years ago. We didn't have ticks 20 years ago. And now that's something that every time you walk out the door into the beautiful world, you have to think about what's going to be sucking on you.
Yeah.
And so
And this is all part of that.
this is all part of that. The trend, if you're a gardener, we've moved into a new hardiness zone because we can grow things here that we haven't been able to grow before. So things are changing really rapidly, and the potential consequences if we don't do anything are raising the planet's average temperature maybe 4.5 degrees. And if we're at 1 degree right now and it's 50 degrees at the beginning of February, what's 4.5 degrees going to look like? So, and some of those changes are already baked in because we've got so much atmospheric carbon dioxide. And so there are going to be changes.
Yeah.
But do we have the capacity to impact that?
Well, I was just going to ask that. I mean, people are saying, well, really, if this is really happening, what can we do? And can we make a difference? Can we really impact?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. 150 years ago, we found a bunch of black goo in the ground, oil, and we made an entire civilization out of it. We figured out how to move ourselves around and power our lives and make everything from aspirin to plastic to Lycra, to computers.
Yeah.
It took an incredible amount of ingenuity and creativity to do that. And innovation, we can use all of that creative, intellectual, innovative energy to figure out how to fix the problems, but it's not like we're not going to have impact. So I think it's a very conscious, active kind of hope rather than a passive, nothing's going to go wrong kind of hope.
Yeah.
And to me, it's as we move forward, it's this wonderful opportunity.
Yeah.
So it isn't doom and gloom.
Right.
This is, yes, we have to change our paradigm. Yes, we have to change, our thirst for this thing that we got addicted to. But it's okay because we can, we can have
We are
alternate
good at
fuels.
change. I mean, especially Americans. Aren't we great at dealing
well, you would
with
think so, but
anything?
then there are people who, there's profit in oil companies, and that's probably the largest thing that's keeping us away from change, but also people don't like change. People fear
it's
change.
tough. Yeah.
So if we can help people understand that actually this change can be great, and we can do this. We talk about putting together the collective genius of the community. We have a lot of smart people working on this, this problem. I mean, Bill McKibben started 350.org, and the name was because we didn't want to get to 350 parts per million of CO2 in the atmosphere. And as she said, we're now at 400.
Wow.
So, I mean, that's only,
Wow.
what is this, 5 years?
Yeah.
So it's kind of scary when you start to
you
look
think
at
about
that.
that, yeah.
Every model that they've shown, it's actually worse. Here's what we're predicting.
Here's the worst case scenario,
Yeah,
and we've blown past
actually,
it.
Oh,
really,
wow.
Yeah.
Oh, my
So
goodness.
it's, I mean, my wife was just showing me this article of the climate deniers, congressman from Florida, who now, he lives in Miami, he now has to wear waders to get to his house. Literally, he has to park his car up on the hill, put his waders on, and walk to his house because the water has risen. And he's denying
He's
it.
denying
Yeah,
it.
Miami is flooding on a regular basis. And because of rising sea levels, and the governor of Florida is saying no, 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 and all of the mayors of towns across Florida are saying, but
Hello.
excuse me,
Please take a look.
Yeah, there's actually a really funny meme on Facebook, and it shows all the politicians, and they're up to here in water, saying, no, we don't have to worry about climate change. That's actually what's happening. So I don't know how you deny. I mean, he has to put his boots on, his rubber boots on, to bring his groceries into his house.
Isn't
But
that
in
weird?
Florida, public officials have been banned from using the words climate change.
Really?
Yeah, it's
Wow.
that
Isn't
extreme.
That is so. Now, what I wanted to know is how, I know both of you are working with youth. How do you find the youth? How are they looking at this? How do they feel about it?
Well, I find that, what we're doing is, I have 2 daughters. They're done with college now and getting married, and so
All
they're
those good
moving
things.
into the whole adult part of their life, and we're leaving this for them, and so this is going to be their planet, and I find that they are very much engaged. They totally get it. It's interesting that Bernie Sanders, who is the only candidate running for president who ever mentions climate change, hugely popular. Under 29, I mean, 80% of the people in Iowa who are under 29 voted for Bernie Sanders. They get this, you know, they get this, that they have a responsibility.
And they need to get it.
Yeah.
They really do
Absolutely.
need to get it. It's
And I'm excited because I, you know, when we do, I go to local schools to show kids how solar panels work and how the energy comes here, and they're going to go tell their parents. The parents may not want to do it, but when the kids come home and start going, you know, that this does this, then
you know, go to the kids. If you get to the kids, they'll bring it home.
You know, Vermont's anti-idling law for school buses was because of a bunch of 8th graders.
Really?
Yeah, who started sending postcards into the legislature. And I was talking to Chris Pearson, who's a representative from Burlington, and he said he got that postcard and he thought, well, that's cute, this is never going to happen. And then they showed up at the State House. And because many, many, many legislators are grandparents, there's the grandchild effect.
To get to the grandparents, because I know as a grandparent, I look at my little ones and I think, oh my gosh, you know what's going on.
Yeah, you can hook in grandparents really quickly when the kids show up and get evangelical about stuff. You know, in our game, Vermontivate,
I want to hear. Please tell us about Vermontivate.
Vermontivate is a community climate and sustainability game that's designed to get people of all ages and experience levels taking action on a wide range of issues. And a lot of initiatives like this tend to focus on one thing, like just transportation or just energy. And we talk about everything. We talk about food, energy, transportation, but we do team building, we do waste reduction, we do health and wellness challenges because it's all about quality of life and people's own sense of well-being. We'll talk about waste reduction, all kinds of stuff. We love to cover everything because we recognize that not everybody's interested in the same thing. Not everybody cares about the same stuff, and people have different approaches to it. Some people love to measure kilowatts and miles per gallon, and other people like to make posters and write poetry and sing songs, and we want to be able to honor all of that. We want to meet people where they're at. So the game, which starts this year on March 21st, it runs for 6 weeks. And basically what people do is they go to the website, they sign up, they join a team, and teams are in 4 categories: community, so your town or your neighborhood; workplace; school, and school can be everything from a daycare facility all the way up through college; and affiliation, which could be your book group or your bowling league or your faith group or your 5 best friends.
Not individual families.
It could be individual families.
Could be a family.
We let people self-organize however they want to do it. So they get onto the website, they sign up, they join a team, and then we push out all kinds of challenges. And they start really simple and small. Go find that last incandescent bulb and change it. Or, you know, plant some lettuce to grow in your kitchen. Or, you know, just make a map of your transportation routes and where you travel every week, and then start to think about reducing a little bit of fossil fuel vehicle
like
miles traveled.
You were saying the driving before.
Exactly, that's a huge, you know, transportation is 46% of Vermont's carbon footprint. It's huge. And so
of course, everything's so far away.
And we all drive. So coming up with the creative ways for how we can start to chip away at that. And I think, you know, a lot of times people think it's all or nothing. Like, I have to do a home energy audit and retrofit my entire house and put solar panels up if I'm going to have any kind of effect. When in fact, if you go around and you insulate some exterior outlets and you change some light bulbs and you know, put plastic on your windows, you caulk some stuff, every little thing you do has a positive impact. And it's hard to do that in isolation, which is why a community of people all over the state, all taking the same kind of action, learning how to compost, riding their bikes a little bit more, exploring going solar for their home, whether it's solar panels on the roof or joining a community solar project. All that stuff adds up, and which is what makes the game exciting. So you do what we ask you to do, and then you write about it.
So you have these different tasks.
Yeah, all these different tasks, you write about it, you post photos, you post video of what you did, and then what you did is visible on the site. So everybody can read it. And we've noticed that we get, you know, 500,000 people signed up to play.
Really, that many?
Well, we've gotten 700 in a round has been our max, but we're shooting for all the
for the moon,
for the moon.
Infinity.
But what's funny is we get some people who are really super active and they do every single challenge, and then we get some people who do a few now and then. That's great, and other people, they just want to lurk and read what everybody else is up to. But they find that really moving and satisfying, and what that starts to do is influence social norms. It gets them thinking, and then maybe when they hear about a big initiative like a statewide carbon pollution tax or divesting from fossil fuels, or, you know, a local solar installation that's coming in, they start to be, they're more educated about why those things are important and what the larger context is. And then they're more likely to support it.
Sort of planting that seed.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, well, in the Dorset school, they started a composting program. And so the first couple of years, you know, the kids are like, yeah, whatever, you know, and they had a little bucket in the lunchroom. And no, compost goes there, garbage goes there. And by like the 3rd year, so now kids have been, you know, there's some kids have been doing it for 3 years. they start to police the younger kids, you know, and so the younger kid, they're like, no, that goes over here. And you know these kids are going home, and then they're talking to their parents, and they're saying, wait a second, you know, don't you know that that's compostable? It's totally being brought home. So, you know, once it becomes part of what they do, then you know you don't even have to tell them, because now they're telling each other and they're doing it. So
and they're bringing it home.
Like I said, kids get totally evangelical about this, and we've had a lot of particularly middle schoolers play, which are great because
they're the energy kids. Those, you know,
so we ran one challenge once, and it was the beginning of the energy challenges, and we said just here at the very beginning, based on what you know right now, see if you just save as much energy as you can in one day. However you want to do it. It's not how you're going to live your life, but just in one day. And one kid wrote in, and he had gone home, and it started turning out everything. And his older siblings kept turning the lights back on and stuff back on because they had to do their homework. He's like, no, I'm turning everything off. And then he went and sat in his room in the dark all night long. And he was like, I didn't plug anything in, I didn't play anything, I just sat in the dark, I was earning points.
And he
was so excited about it. Whereas if you had just gone up to a kid and said, go sit in the dark all night long, they wouldn't have done it because it was his idea. It made all the difference in the world. Or we've had kids go out with clipboards into the parking lot at after school pickup asking to know why their parents are idling their vehicles and wanting to deal with that. We had one great challenge where we showed everybody a TED Talk that's about how to dry your hands with just like a half a paper towel. Because you know in public restrooms people are pulling. So this is a great TED Talk where this guy says you wash your hands and you shake 12 times. And he's like 12 signs of the zodiac, 12 months of the year, 12 apostles, whatever your framework is. And then you get a half a paper towel and you blot and you're good to go. So we said to our players, watch this video, try it out, let us know how it goes. Some people wrote in and said, you know, I wipe my hands on my pants. Not a big
Didn't
deal.
even have to use that.
I realize what I do, because I got the curly hair, I shake a couple of times and then I zhuzh. But there was a daycare facility in Brattleboro, and they in a classroom of 3 to 7 year olds, and they said, oh my God, we wash and dry our hands all day long. We go through tons of paper towel. We'll try this out. And they tried it and it worked. And so they drastically reduced the amount of paper towel in their classroom, and then they realized they could compost the rest. And they had so little garbage that every day they had to empty their waste can because it was health code regulations, and they were basically throwing out a giant plastic bag. So they changed the size of the trash can in their classroom from a big one to a little one. The benefit of this was we said, well, that's so awesome. We're going to send you 3 coupons for a pint of Ben & Jerry's. Because Ben & Jerry's is a partner. They give us lots of ice cream coupons as game currency. And so we sent them 3 coupons, and we said, you can either keep these and have a little party in your classroom, or you can give them away and get points in the game. And we thought, they're kids, they'll keep them. Of course, ice cream. But what they did was they kept one for themselves, and the kids had decided this. They gave one to a player from South Burlington that they had befriended on the site, who didn't have her own team, and they felt bad for her. And the grown-up woman, they're like, oh, you deserve a coupon. And then the third one they gave to the Brattleboro Fire Department, because they like firemen. It was just adorable.
You know, the kids are so creative, and they're so wonderful, and they're so caring. You know, children love to share. And they love to share their knowledge and to share and to make a difference, which is so
well, they get excited as they learn these things, and then they have to share.
Absolutely.
It's like, I got to share this. This is such a great thing.
And children care about each other.
And one really important method in changing people's actions is to have a gauge. You know, they put solar panels on the doors of school. And here's a little thing about, here's how much money, how much electricity you're producing, here's how much you're using. And once you see that, you know, I can tell you, the minute you put solar panels up on your roof, you turn off the lights, because these are kilowatt hours you're using, you know, because now you have a gauge, you have a monitor of what you're consuming and what you're generating. So, you know, on an electric car, they have that on there. It's like, ooh, here's how much you're saving, you know, and
you start playing little games with yourself.
You get competitive.
Totally.
Okay, wait a second,
and that's the exciting
part.
That's the hope. You know, as we were saying, we don't want to talk gloom and doom, but it's a very, very serious issue, and we can make a difference with this. Do you think that we could maybe do Vermont of 8 here? That would be kind of cool.
Oh, absolutely. I don't see why not. You know, I know that the Dorset Energy Committee is very active. I'm not sure about the Manchester one, and you know others around here. But it seems that the movement is towards more active energy committees. And really, that's what the towns need. I mean, the Dorset Energy Committee saved the town thousands of dollars by weatherizing the town office. There's just this gaping hole in the wall, you know. I mean, and so what were they motivated by? we were doing it because we're trying to get the town off of fossil fuels. Well, we can save you $10,000. Okay, let's do that.
Let's do that.
It
So
didn't-
they're motivated by
it
savings.
had more in the budget, but they all go together.
Yeah.
My husband wasn't even really interested in this stuff very much as I harangued him. And then I changed all the light bulbs in our house. And he saw how much our electricity bill went down, and all of a sudden he got totally manic about it. And he's going around the house plugging up all the holes. And then we got a plug-in hybrid, and we get about 20 miles on the battery before we switch over to a hybrid engine. And the car gives you all kinds of feedback. It tells you what your average miles per gallon are. It tells all this kind of stuff. And now he's really intense about it, and he's practicing all these green driving techniques to try to eke out as much. And I travel all over the state talking to community groups, and every time he knows that I'm traveling more than an hour, he's like, "You're screwing with our miles per gallon. You're messing with everything." He gets really upset about it.
It's so great. So there really is a lot of hope, isn't there? There's a lot that we can do, and it's getting the word out there, and it's just sharing it, and especially starting with the kids.
I think there's room for everybody. And that's the most important thing. This is an all hands on deck situation.
Yeah.
And we need everybody's inherent genius. And I think the kids are amazing, and yes, it's their life and their future. Right. My one concern about just focusing on kids
no, you're absolutely
is
right.
it kind of abrogates the responsibility of adults. Like anyone over 50 gets to go, we screwed it up.
Yeah.
It's for the next generation. And
That's
I don't
not
believe that at all.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Bernie is a great example of, staying active and vibrant and relevant as long into your life as you want to be.
Exactly.
And adults do have some capacities that kids don't. And
absolutely.
so why not get everybody involved?
Sure. Everyone. And
I
also,
had
and as
one
you say,
woman-
grandparents.
There's one woman who's 92 years old, and I put up solar panels on her garage, and she said, "I know I'm not going to be around when these things have paid for themselves, but this is what we should all be doing," and that's why she's doing it.
And she's making a difference.
And she's being a leader.
Yeah.
And everyone does care. I mean, we really do. Sometimes we just don't think about it. We don't realize it, and we don't realize the difference. First of all, the impact that we're having and the difference that we can make.
That's a lot of the feedback that we get from Vermont of 8 players is, I had no idea this could be so much fun. I had no idea this could be so easy. Excuse me, I'm about to sneeze. And I had no idea that there was a community of people who cared so much about this. So it's about making a lot of the activity that we want people to do visible. Because if you switch to a solar CSA like we did, we don't have solar panels on our roof or on our lawn. Nobody knows that we did it unless we can find a way to sort of trumpet it to the community.
Exactly.
So when we have a framework for people to share their stories with each other. And it's
give
really
other
about the
people
narrative.
ideas and wonderful things. This show could go on and on. I mean, we really, I want both of you to come back. Yes. Now, how do people get involved with Vermont of 8?
So they go to the website, which is vermontofate.com, and that's spelled Vermont with an I-V-A-T-E on the end. And a lot of people can't even figure out how to pronounce it, but we tell them captivate, motivate,
Vermont of 8.
Vermont of 8, right. And the game is, the sign-ups start March 1st, and then the game starts March 21st, which is Vermont Energy Independence Day, as declared by the legislature, and it runs through Green Up Day, which is May 7th.
Oh, that's great.
If people go to the website right now, what they're going to see is the game as we ended it last year. And at some point in the near future, we're going to drop the curtain on that because we're doing some renovations on the site. But if you get on now and you sign up, you'll be on the player list, and we'll be able to notify you when the sign-ups start for the new round of the game.
Great.
We're also going to we have a lot of partner organizations, everyone from Green Mountain Power to Vermont Energy Education Program to the town energy committees, and they'll be spreading the word about it. You can find us on Facebook, you can find us on Twitter. We're going to be all over social media. And just keep an eye out or an ear to the ground, and when the games, when signups start, people can start putting together their
Now,
teams.
if somebody's late, can they start late? If
Oh,
they have
yeah,
to? You
people
can start
can play
anytime.
anytime.
Oh, that's great.
Of course.
And tell us a little bit about transitions before we go.
transitiontownmanchester.org is our website. You can go on there, see what activities we have. Some we work with Hildene and do a wild edibles walk.
Oh, nice.
So just to see what's out there naturally. We've got a bunch of speakers coming into town. We're going to be showing Naomi. They made a movie out of Naomi Klein's latest book, and so we're going to be showing that. I think in April, but there's a calendar on there and talks about a bunch of different activities and how you can get engaged.
Great. Thank you both so much for doing what you're
you.
doing.
Thank you.
And for all of you out there, thank you for joining us. And remember, time is running out. Get involved. Go to Vermont of 8 and transitions. And until next time, let's talk.